Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. A light sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name is Jen. I am your hostess for the evening. I apologize for not being here last week, but I'm sure you were in amazing hands with Brian and Henno. Hey, guys. Oh, wait.
Yeah, no Henno this week.
No Henno.
Yeah. As Henno mentioned last week on the show, he's got to put some time into the stuff for his campaign here. So, over the next few weeks, we may be light on Henno, but we'll see.
We are not light on Henno support.
Right.
So we absolutely 100% stand behind him and support his pursuits to make himself better and make the area that he lives better. So very excited for him.
Yep.
Very excited for you, Henno, because I know you're probably going to listen while you're going to work or doing your other wonderful things that you do. So, very exciting news.
Yep.
I'm sure he mentioned it last week on a podcast.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't break his news for him, That's his choice.
Kind of figured, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with me, as always, is Brian. Hey, Brian.
Howdy. The only constant of the show.
Our constant, which is amazing considering how inconsistent you had that reputation for so long.
Yeah.
It's not being the consistent one.
It really
but
is.
Yet
between
podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah, because on Salty Language, we've done 319 episodes. Well, 320, but when this one releases. And, plus, 30-some enthusiasts. So we're at 350 episodes that we've recorded. And, I've missed, 2, I think. Because, one was kidney stones and the other was I couldn't get out of bed or something like that. Because I was,
that might have been doubt time.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm pretty sure. So it was either 2 or 3. It's something like that. But, and then this show, I'm pretty sure I've been on every one. I don't think I've missed. Have I?
I
don't remember.
You might have missed one?
Yeah, at most it's 1 or 2. Yeah. I don't think it is.
Not many. Not many at all.
So
Mr. Consistency. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy that, and we both are weekly shows. It's not like, it's not like I can go, oh, we're not recording the Crazy Life this week. So, we've done both shows just about every week. Sometimes 2 in the same week because of, something happens and we have to record a little differently.
Gotta do back-to-backs, but
we
it
have,
happens.
like on Salty Language, we've recorded on like a Wednesday and then a Monday, or something like that. Or like this show, we've recorded on Sunday and then Wednesday, It's not a lot of turnaround when you start the show with the check-in part,
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
So, well, since I was gone, I will start our How You Been.
As is tradition.
As is tradition.
Which means Henno, guess what?
Next week, Henno, it's all you, buddy. But,
I'm gonna keep track too. Like if he misses like say 2 or 3 in a row, he's gotta do 2 or 3 in a row as the first person.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Anyway, sorry.
That's alright. So things are going really good. Work has settled down. We have a new interim leader, and that's very well versed in the job.
That always helps. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was able to jump right in and help, and that immediately alleviated a lot of the pressures.
Sure.
Took care of a lot of little stress points, and basically allowed me to go back to my normal 40-hour-a-week job.
Yay.
So
good.
Yes,
Yeah.
and my hours back. So I got my hours that I love back. I've got the number of hours a week that I should be working.
Right.
So, yes, the laundry fairy has visited. The dishes fairy. The dishes fairy is somewhat back.
So you didn't end up having a service come in just to kind of start you off?
Not yet, but there's rumors about Thanksgiving, and if that happens, we are having a professional cleaning company coming in.
Fair enough.
And taking, yes, that's just, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, we'll see, we'll see if we're actually going to be hosting a large event this year.
Right.
But, my husband's always dreams big, and in reality, sometimes we can't live up to those dreams.
Sure.
But
yeah.
can always try.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with giving it a good try.
Nope.
But yeah, but other than that, things are getting, like I said, things are getting back to normal, which is really cool to see, to see myself kind of coming back to my reality.
Sure.
I'm really trying to fight against rebound effects because when you're in the moment, you kind of don the cape and you rise to the occasion. But after the moment's passed, that's when everything hits.
Yeah, definitely.
The stress, the tired, everything kind of hits you all at once. So I'm kind of working through some of that, just trying to be very attentive to my body and what my body needs as far as sleep is concerned and stuff. It's been pretty uneventful. I did learn, on Sunday I went to the Renaissance Festival, which is one of my happy places. I love going to the Renaissance Festival.
Sure, yeah.
It's so much fun just to see everybody's creativity in their costumes, the creativity in the shops, and, just the shows. It's pretty much a wealth of nothing but people being free to be people.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those situations, I think you've talked on here before, but I personally know this, that you love going to seeing people basically, geeking out on whatever it is that they geek out on. Like when we went to Comic-Con, or Chicago Comic-Con, you loved just seeing me in that element and seeing other people in that element. So I'm not surprised that you dig this, because it's really these people getting to geek out on whatever it is, that they love about that.
It's just, I love the concept of just letting your flag fly, whatever makes you happy, whatever trips your trigger, as long as it's not interfering with somebody else's liberties, go for it, folks. Just be you, do you. No one can do you better than you can.
Yeah.
It's just, and I love that. And then this Sunday it was great because the theme of, as if a Renaissance festival needs to have a theme.
Yeah.
But they do. Every week they have a theme. And this theme was steampunk / Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
So on top of Renaissance, so you have people dressed up in their Renaissance gear and whatever. Then you have your steampunk outfits and stuff like that. Then on top of that, you have your Doctor Who people. And then on top of that, you have what you always have, which is fairies and or fantasy genre.
Right.
Let's just call it. So, you've got everybody wearing glitter and wings and big skirts and clocks everywhere and gears and henna tattoos and just fabulousness. All around fabulousness. And, the people I was with, I don't know if they could appreciate the fabulousness as much as I appreciated the fabulousness.
Right.
And it is tough. I try to impart my lightheartedness, my love of humanity to people. And sometimes they just don't get it. And that's okay, because that's not going to be everybody.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, not everybody's going to like, a Renaissance festival,
Exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's one of those things that, it was kind of a lesson in choose your audience. So, my husband and I didn't choose our audience to probably the best potential, which is our fault as much as anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because, we thought we did a good enough job explaining what it was, and I don't know if we did.
Yeah.
So.
That's understandable. It's easy enough to have happen,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it happens, whatever. So it may not have been quite the fabulousness that it could have been, but what really in life ever is. So, it was a great time. I really enjoyed myself. I exhausted myself. That's why I wasn't on the podcast last week. Because I exhausted myself by walking around this festival.
Right. I don't remember what excuse we gave for you last week. So I know we talked about the festival, so maybe that's what it was.
Yes.
I don't remember.
And I did not get choked out by my cleavage.
Yeah, I think that came up too.
Yep. I did not get choked out by my cleavage, thankfully.
Yeah,
I did not wear my corset this year, although the corset will be worn coming up soon for some reason. I will find a reason. Spent way too much money on this damn corset. I'm going to wear it.
I just like the idea of I'm going to find a reason. Because,
a reason.
Corsets are so, you can just, any time is, the perfect time to wear one.
Universal. You just toss one on and
sure.
just go to town.
Right. Somebody's baptism, wear a corset. Why not? Perfectly.
Completely appropriate.
Yeah.
Completely appropriate.
Right.
So that was kind of, I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on in my week. Still kind of struggling with the medicine thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not the most proud. I'm still trying to get myself on a regular cycle of it and keep that going. But, I am trying to focus a little bit more on my health. I've slowly stopped smoking. I won't say that I quit smoking. I will say that, sorry about that, folks. That was my dog. I will say that I cut down significantly, and to the point of not having I haven't had a cigarette. Yesterday I had one, and today I didn't have any. So, but I'm not going to say that I quit because I don't want to put absolutes on anything.
All right.
Leave it kind of open-ended, because I think as soon as I put an absolute on something, it's almost like challenge myself to break it. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to let it kind of go and just kind of see where I land.
All right. Yeah, so, that's fair.
Yeah. So how are you? How's things in Brian World?
Well, last week I talked about how I was feeling like really jittery. And I ran out of my blood pressure medicine, and I called the doctor's office, and they didn't call it in on a Friday, so I went the whole weekend without it. And then I called them on Monday, and again, and it didn't get called in. So yesterday, I called up there and was like, hey, I called on Friday. I called on Monday. Like, this needs to be resolved. I need that medicine. We're not talking about, like my allergy medicine. I can go days without that. It'll stink a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Blood pressure medicine's a different thing. I have high blood pressure. I need it to be regulated. Otherwise, it could be dangerous to me. And the fact that I'm on that Wellbutrin, which I think is what was causing the jittery feeling I was having, and my hands were actually shaking. Like the one night my mom came into my room and I could not stop shaking, like my hands just wouldn't stop shaking. The only way I could get them to stop was basically to put them on my thighs and basically grip my thighs. That was the only kind of way I could. And now picture trying to go to sleep like this, and I dealt with almost 5 days of it, and it's like, it was really irritating. And, I told the woman on the phone, I was like, look, I know it's my fault because I should have realized I needed a refill before I ran out, I'll take my part in this whole thing. I'm like, but when I called on Friday, I said, hey, this is urgent. I have 0 of this. Can, make sure the doctor calls it in, kind of a thing, and she was like, oh, well, we're really sorry. And it's like, yeah, well, sorry doesn't help the almost 5 days where I was out of my mind because I couldn't even write. If I was at the store or a post office, I had to go pick something up and, they make you sign for, it was a certified letter. I had to sign for it on the, the machine thing. And my hand was all over the place. You would have swore that I just closed my eyes and wrote with my other hand. Like, it was that bad. And, my handwriting's a little messy anyway, but I'm consistent with my signature, Yeah. So it was really frustrating because I didn't want to cook because I didn't want to have to use a knife for anything because my hand was shaking. I'm certainly not going to, put my hands near a knife when it's shaking.
Sure.
So,
don't want to get cut.
So it was super annoying. And it felt like my heart was going to come out of my chest. And, anyway, I got the medicine yesterday. They finally called it in and, I'm back on it. The jittery feeling is pretty much gone. I have a little bit of it. And I haven't really been shaking today or last night, like a little bit. But from what I've read, those are both very common side effects of Wellbutrin. And I'm only in my second week-ish range of it. So it might just take longer for my body to adjust. Because if that's a permanent thing, I'm done with it. Like, as much as I like how it's making me feel otherwise, I wouldn't be able to draw again. Because I literally couldn't hold a pen in my hand or a pencil without my hand jumping all over. So it was just too miserable. Tuesday, or was it Tuesday or Monday? Monday, I was supposed to have a wisdom tooth removed. And, I was without my blood pressure medicine. I go in, I sit down in the chair, and the hygienist goes to, take my blood pressure, and she's like, you're really clammy. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, my anxiety's off the chart right now. I'm going nuts. And I almost called off because I felt like I was going to go into another panic attack. And it was because basically I felt like I was redlining all weekend. It was just go, go, go. And not like in a mania way, like I did with the effects order where I was just like, I have all this energy. It was almost like the feeling if like I just kept running back and forth, there was no calm down at any point. And, she took my blood pressure. Oddly enough, my blood pressure was almost perfect, which is weird. Yeah. My pulse, however, was crazy high. And she was like, are you feeling okay? And I'm like, oh no, I am, beside myself right now. I'm going crazy. And the dentist came over and, we were talking and she's like, if you're not comfortable with this, she's like, reschedule it. She's like, cause with your pulse that high, she's like, I'm a little concerned, and, I was like, okay. So I did not have it done because, and you know me well enough to know, like the way I'm at the dentist is I usually have a ton of anxiety. Once I'm there, whatever, You know, I mean, I've had them do fillings on both sides of my mouth where they had to numb my whole face by my own, like, I've asked for that. So I don't have to come back again, you know. So, and I've always been great at the dentist. It's just when it's the anxiety before. But the problem here was that I was already running at a high level, and then that extra anxiety on there, and it was just too much. You know, I was crazy.
Well, without the blood pressure medicine, that probably was not the best choice to try to push that anyways.
No, exactly. That's why when they gave me the option,
kudos for trying.
Yeah.
I mean, I give you lots of props for trying.
Well, because
that's
I figured,
pretty awesome that you tried.
Yeah. I figured, you know what? I was thinking, you know, in the past, like, once I'm in the chair, I'm usually fine, you know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, again, like the one time they were doing fillings and the stuff started wearing off so I could feel what they were doing. And he was like, do you want me to numb you up again? I'm like, nah, finish. You know, like I'm that kind of patient for them. Like I'm good. It's like, get done what you have to get done, you know? And, but I just couldn't, it was too much, you know? And when the hygienist she first said it, she was like, if you don't feel like doing this, we don't want to do it if you're not feeling comfortable, you know? So what I think I'm going to do is next time when I reschedule it, I think I'm going to see if they can, sedate me somehow, to help. Because the last 2 times I've gone in there, my anxiety has been stupid. This time there's more of a reason for it. But you know, I don't know what it is. It's just something about it is really bugging me right now. So. Yeah. And it'll just be easier for me.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, just have them sedate me. Basically, I'll wake up and be like, "Oh, cool, it's over." You know.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was a heck of a weekend.
Yeah, sounds that way.
Yeah.
Excitement.
Yeah, pretty fun, except for the fun. Yeah, it was really stressful. You know, it was bad.
I believe it sounds that way.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad I have therapy this week, so you know, I'll be able to talk to her about this a little bit. You know, about the anxiety with the dentist and stuff, because my anxiety's really been concerning me more and more because it seems to be at a higher level, and you know, and it's affecting me. You know, like that. If I didn't, I mean, again, I know the other being unregulated, that's probably the real reason. But like I said before,
when it's first having that negative effect in your life and your decisions that you're making, it's absolutely something that you take notice of.
Well, and realistically, you know, anxiety, I honestly think anxiety's been more of a life stopper for me than depression. As bad as my depression's been, I think the anxiety is more of what stopped me. You know, again, I don't drive because of anxiety. You know,
right?
As I wrote in my blog last week about the never enough feeling, it's like one of the times I quit school was because of anxiety, because I was, you know, freaking out that, you know, I wasn't going to be good enough, you know, that kind of thing. And all this stuff seems to be driven by anxiety, and I can't seem to, I've made progress on one hand, but on the other hand, I feel like it's gotten out of control. I mean, with driving, it's totally out of control. I mean, that's the worst one for me. But, you know, I don't draw because of anxiety. I don't, you know, things I used to do that I love, I'm not doing because of that. And again, that's the reason when that happens, that's when you go get help. So I think I need to push a little harder with this because I feel like I'm not getting enough help with the anxiety. I feel like they're trying really hard to get the depression under control. And the problem is, I think the anxiety is allowed to just run wild like it's Hulkamania, you know?
Right.
And, you know, and breathing just doesn't get it done all the time, you know? Like Monday, if I was sitting there and I was trying, you know, doing all the breathing techniques, but it basically, like, picture you're trying to meditate and someone just keeps smacking you in the head. That's basically how it felt, you know? And again, I felt literally like my heart was going to come out of my chest. It was beating so hard. Or my pulse was that high. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my course of action for this week, is to try to kind of, make sure they understand how serious my anxiety is, you know?
Good.
Cause I'm thinking, you know, that could be my fault. Maybe I'm not telling them enough, you know?
Gotta be your own advocate.
You know, and I mean, I've learned in the past, you know, sometimes you basically have to yell in order for them to go, oh wow, it's that bad, you know?
So no, listen to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, it's not that, I don't feel like they've done anything wrong. I don't feel like it's, you know, that they're just like, it's not that, you know, it's nothing like that. They're not dismissive, nothing. It's just, I think I haven't made a big enough deal of it because that's who I am. I tend to just internalize it and not be like, hey, this is really bothering me. You know?
Right.
So, and that's something I need to change, you know. It's like you said, you know, no one else is going to advocate for me. I'm the only one doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So that's my course of action this week. And again, my win of the week would be, like you said, the fact that I still went to the dentist and didn't just call off. You know,
yes.
because,
that's awesome.
Because in the past, I probably would have just called off. Now, part of the reason I didn't also was like, if you don't call off within like 24 hours or whatever, they still may charge you, you know. And I was kind of like, you know, it's like, if it's going to get paid for, I might as well go, you know. But that thinking is still the right, it's still in the right direction, you know?
Right. You still would have, like, not cared before.
Mm-hmm.
So, the fact that you're going in that direction, that's always a positive.
Yeah. And exactly. And, you know, so it's why I said, since being on this Wellbutrin, I was telling Henno last week, I feel more like the old me than I have in a long, long time.
That's wonderful.
But, you know, now we got to find out how the shakiness and jitteriness is going to be because I can't handle that. It's too much for me, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I was reading in a forum yesterday where somebody asked, like, "Hey, how long does this last?" Most of the people are like, a couple weeks, you know.
Yeah.
But there are various people in there that were like, "Yeah, I've been on it 3 years," and I'm like.
I still get, I mean, my hand, it's not really my hands as much as my feet.
Yeah.
My
legs have done it too.
I bounce my leg.
Mm. Yeah.
So I'm on Wellbutrin as well.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me is, I bounce my legs a lot. I tap my foot a lot. I have like nervous energy.
Yeah. See, I always have had that though, you know, so that's not much different to me. It's a little higher, but it's not that much different. But you know, like, the other thing, and I told Henno this, but I didn't tell you. Also, I was having brain zaps last week, like I had when I was going off of Effexor, and there was a point last week where I'm like, I felt like I was going through withdrawal. It was so weird because I was, you know, my head wasn't right. I was having the jitteriness, the brain zaps. You know, those are all things that are like withdrawal symptoms generally. And and then again, you know, I looked it up and it's like, Wellbutrin can cause a lot of this stuff up front. So I was like, okay, you know, again, if I keep having brain zaps, I'm done with it because
that's no good.
For anybody who hasn't had them, I talked about them before on the withdrawal episode actually. But what happens is it feels like you get a shock and your whole body just kind of jolts. And, it's usually at its worst when you're sleeping, you know. Because you'll get one, it'll wake you up. And, you know, it's so weird that, like, your arm will just jump, or your leg will jump, or your, you know, whole body, depending on how bad they are. And you just feel weird, like, after they hit. Like, you don't feel right. You know, and it makes it hard to remember. Like, there's other things with it, too. If anybody wants to look, just look up brain zaps. And, you know, it's not something I want to deal with. I dealt with them for a while after getting off of Effexor because that's common. You know, I had them for a few months, which stunk. But, you know, I knew, hey, this is going to happen. You know, their body's got to rid itself of this stuff and whatever. So, yeah, it was so weird, though, going through that, you know, because it really, like, it jumped right into my head. It's like, man, I feel like I'm going through withdrawal.
Yeah.
And the blood pressure medicine I was without is not, it's not like an addictive medicine or anything like that. So it, you know, I even looked that up to see if it was common, you know, like if you stop, and it's not. So I was like, okay, this has got to be from either the Wellbutrin or the Wellbutrin interacting with something else. It has to be one or the other, you know. And I think what ended up happening is the blood pressure medicine was like a governor, to like my pulse and stuff. Cause I think the Wellbutrin pushed it up. And then, but the blood pressure stuff pushed it back down. And then not having that, it was just able to, you know, go crazy.
Quite possibly. That's probably what happened.
So, like I said, I'll talk to my therapist about it. I'll probably have to call my psychiatrist about it too. Cause I don't think I'm scheduled to see him for like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, you probably need to go see him earlier than that.
Yeah, or at least talk to him on the phone or something like that, so I can at least say, hey, is this concerning? I talked to a pharmacist yesterday about it because I was, picking up medicine anyway. I was like, hey, is this common? And he was like, yeah, it's very common. So I was like, okay. He's like, usually a couple weeks you'll be fine. Like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah. Cause I really, I'm on a combination.
Yeah.
Of, two different, basically, Abilify stops my mania.
Yeah.
Wellbutrin and, bupropion? Or maybe bupropion might be the Wellbutrin. Anyways, there's another.
That is Wellbutrin, yeah.
Okay, so then there's another one that is for, the lower end of the bipolar.
Oh, okay.
And then, I have a blood pressure medicine I'm taking as well.
Okay, right.
So, yeah, I'm on so that's my crazy combo. But by using the different ones, I think they complement each other.
Sure. Yeah, that's why they added.
They balance each other out.
Yeah, that's why they added the Wellbutrin to my, Trintellix, was that the Trintellix has, it gave me a good floor and it made me feel some better. But I'm basically at the highest dose of that you can take, because if you go over that, they have to be careful of serotonin levels and stuff, So, so the Wellbutrin was added because it generally helps people, get energy. And, so that's why they added it to me. It was kind of the, pick me up part of it. And it certainly has. I've had more energy. I've, really kind of felt more alive than I have in a while. But like I said, it's, at some point I'll have to, if something's a permanent side effect, I have to weigh it, cause, I don't know how long I would want to deal with some of this stuff,
Right.
Again, brain zaps really stunk. The shaking, and the pulse is within probably an hour and a half of taking my blood pressure medicine, my pulse was back to normal. So
really, so that's obviously
it had to. Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah.
Still weird though. My blood pressure wasn't up. It was almost right.
It's really weird.
She took it twice to make sure. She took it, and then before I left, she took it again, and it was about the same number. So, but my pulse was well over 100, and 100 is where they're like, "Whoa, this is a little high."
that is, yeah,
and I
interesting.
Blew right past 100. So
funny.
Yep. So anyway, that's all I can think of for the week here. So, and I guess, by the time people listen to this, I'll have, had a birthday. So,
woo!
Yeah. So.
Another year closer to the big 4-0.
Yeah. One away from it. Which I really don't care. It doesn't affect me.
What affects me more than the actual numbers is when people find out and they're like, wow, you don't act it. Like,
yeah, when they say you don't look it, you're like, oh, thanks. When they say you don't act it, you're kind of like, is that an insult?
I've been told the majority of people, they're ever going to tell you that, oh yeah, I can believe you're going to be 40. People aren't going to really say that, but more often than not, I get shock and awe when people find out my age.
Yeah.
And that's the way I like it. It's like, I never want to be a quintessential, 40-year-old or quintessential any year old. Well, I want to be me.
That stuff's being redefined though now, the way,
yes.
Especially you as a woman, the way women are, in their 40s now, and, a lot of them are coming out of, marriages and different stuff, but they're just owning their life rather than being the subordinate, to the guy. So there's kind of a whole new exciting world out there for a lot of women, and for guys too. I mean, cause the guy stuff has shifted too, it's, as women have taken more control over things, guys have, some guys have ceded some control, other guys are fighting against it, so there's all that, but it's not quite what it used to be. When our parents hit 40, they were pretty much in their rut. Now go look on any dating site. There's tons of 40-year-olds, So
exactly, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that everything is really going towards the be your own person.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
that was kind of what I was
the best
getting
compliment
at.
you can give me is that you're not like anyone else I know. And that's like perfect.
Right. That's what always worries me, like when I do, like on, like dating profiles and stuff, you know, because it's like, you know, what do you like? And it's like, well, I like video games, comic books, you know, and it's like, like, wait, you're going to be 39? It's like, yep. It's just, it's again, the old way of thinking is by now you should have abandoned all that stuff because that's kid stuff, you know, but that's not what it is anymore, you know?
No.
So it's kind of a weird situation in that too.
Yeah, it's you know, finding you're a well-rounded person. You know, that's part of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not exclusively what I like. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just a part.
Yeah.
Well, something I found that I want to talk about today, which I found was very fascinating. We've talked about animals before on the show and how beneficial they can be for mental health as well as physical health and all that jazz. But this touches on that. It's 8 misconceptions about therapy, service, and support animals. What's the difference between a service dog and an emotional support animal? So, there we go. So, this thing, she talks a little bit about the different things. But, to kind of take an excerpt from this, and this is from Psychology Today, which you guys know is fast becoming one of my favorite websites for finding articles.
Yep.
Love this website.
Yeah, it's another site. It's one of the sites that I comb over to.
Yeah.
Even if it's not for the show. Yeah, even if it's not for the show, there's usually at least 1 to 3 things that I'll read while I'm on it. So, yeah.
Well, surprisingly, there is not a federally recognized registry for service dogs. Indeed, there is no legal certification process for any type of assistance animal. There are internet websites where readers can purchase service dog vest and official-looking registration papers, but assistance animals do not need to wear a vest or have any kind of identification. A bigger problem is that the internet registry site that was referred to earlier is a scam. In 2015, the Department of Justice issued a statement of concern over the growth of phony online service animal certification and registration documents. Quote, these documents do not convey any rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the Department of Justice does not recognize them as proof that the dog is a service animal, unquote. When I asked the Justice Department official about these internet services and animal registries, she replied, they are frauds.
Huh.
So, there is no registry, folks.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very shocked about this. There's no registry. There's no certifications. There's no official legal, thing like that. Now, keep in mind, you're going to have training, there's courses, there's certifications that you can do that are on your own, they're legal, they're valid. Mm-hmm. They're just not recognized by the government.
So it's similar to how, in a lot of ways, like supplements are to the FDA, to where there's not really a governing body on most supplements, and but they're there. Some of them, you can argue effectiveness. I'm not going to get into that, but so that's kind of what I'm thinking here too. Cause I've seen a lot of places that, I've seen some locally even that, like, I saw a van when I was at the grocery store yesterday that actually, said, service animal training and various stuff, so,
Yeah. Misunderstandings concerning the laws governing assistance animals are certainly understandable. That's because federal regulations pertaining to the service and support animals are a morass of confusion. Here's the answers to some common questions about legal status of assistance animals. So, what federal legislation covers assistance animals? Assistance animals fall under the auspices of 3 different federal agencies. The Americans with Disabilities Act is administered by the Justice Department and covers access of service animals to public places such as restaurants, train stations, and hospitals. The Air Carrier Access Act falls under the Department of Transportation. These rules pertain to the rights to have service and emotional support animals accompany passengers with psychiatric problems on commercial airplanes. Access of assistance animals to rental housing, apartments, and condos is regulated through the Fair Housing Act under the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So, kind of gives you a little rough rundown there. There's three main things that pop up the most you're going to run into is obviously having a service animal in public. We've all seen the signs on the doors and stuff of restaurants and, no animals unless a service animal.
Yeah, Target has that on their door too. Like, no, service animals only, basically.
So there is some designation between what a service animal is and what isn't. So we got that part. Now, flying with your animal, flying with a service animal is, in fact, free on most airlines. But they do require you to have a letter from your psychiatrist that dictates that the animal is necessary.
Sure.
And the same thing with the fair housing. A place that does not allow animals may be told to or inclined to, under threat of lawsuit, to let you lease with a pet if the pet is a service animal.
Yeah.
So, what is the difference between a service animal and an emotional support animal? According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, only dogs, and in a few special circumstances, miniature horses, are considered service animals. So, no birds, no cats, no bats, no anything, anything other than dogs are service animals, and a few horses, of course. These regulations also stipulate that service animals are not pets. Rather, they are specially trained animals who perform specific tasks.
Mm-hmm. Much like a canine unit.
Yeah. So this is the actual law on from Americans with Disabilities Act that we have regarding to service animals. These include example guide dogs for the blind, seizure alert dogs, and psychiatric service dogs trained to sense the onset of PTSD-related panic attacks. In contrast, the Air Carrier Transport Act and the Fair Housing Act, these are the only two, not the Americans with Disabilities. Only the Air Carrier Transport and Fair Housing Act recognize the right to have emotional support animals. These animals can be pets. They must, however, be needed by their owner to alleviate the symptoms of a mental disorder recognized by the American Psychiatric Association.
Right, which means to clarify in case someone didn't get that, you have to have something that is widely recognized as a psychiatric condition.
Yes.
So if it's something new and kind of, it may not fall under that. So again, though, that's why you have the letter from your psychiatrist because, that's the point of it. So
they kind of go on here and they talk a little bit more about, therapy animal and stuff like that. Assistance animals do not need to carry official identification papers in order to have access to public places such as restaurants, trains, and hospitals. There's no federal or state mandatory certification process, so there's no official federal papers that they can request that you provide.
Yeah, because I was just going to say how, because most of the time, like the service animals that I've seen have, the service animal vest. Like it'll say like service animal, please don't pet, those kind of things on them. Because again, the public is not supposed to see them as, oh, it's a doggy, you're supposed to see them as just the same as almost like if a person were helping a person move, through a crowd.
Now, keep in mind, these are the actual, these are going to be the dogs, the service dogs. But any of the animals, not required to wear a vest. If they're wearing a vest, it's probably more for the rest of the world, like you were saying, Brian, about, so people they understand the vest, they recognize it's a service dog, and then they won't do the whole
right
thing.
Because the animal's job is to help you and protect you and, from inherent dangers. So if people are...
And he's working.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If people are messing with it, that, interferes with that.
If a restaurant owner insists on proof that service dog is trained, they just have to take your word for it. So you tell them that they are violating the Americans with Disabilities Act, and then you can take them to court.
You know, it's weird, though, because if it falls under the Americans with Disability Act, you'd think that there would be some sort of a permit that the government would make you get, if for no other reason, to just get 15 more bucks out of you, or 20 bucks, or whatever, you know. You know?
Yep.
It's interesting.
But can you get in trouble if I purchase a fake service animal vest or a bogus registration certificate over the internet and pass my pet off as a service dog so I can get into bars and restaurants? So if you want to be fraudulent, folks, most places don't much have anything about that. But in California, you can face 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. So don't be a jerk. You know, if you need a service animal, absolutely use a service animal.
Yeah.
If you don't need a service animal and you just like having your pet with you,
Yeah, because
go to a place that allows you to have animals. Don't be a jerk and try to get your pet into some place that they're not allowed.
Well, the one that bothers me is I've read some stuff and I've seen people make a comment later about how they've told an airline that their dog is a service dog so that they could get the seat next to him for free, basically, for the dog, because they don't want to put their dog in storage or whatever, or however it is, you know, for the plane flight. And it's like, you know, like, I get it, but it's like, it really bugs me because it feels like you're being fraudulent, you know?
Yes. So, you know, be appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing this. There's another article that was linked to this one, and I'm not seeing it anymore, which upsets me. But, maybe it's this one here. It's tough. Because, like, there's an article here on does animal-assisted therapy really work? And there's clinical trials and stuff that animal-assisted therapy have become widely accepted by both public and professionals. The idea of interacting of animals to heal our broken minds and bodies is appealing, but there might be a mismatch between the media coverage and the evidence that therapies actually work. So, what they found out is that most published studies have reported that animals make excellent therapists. The 14 clinical trials on the effect of AAT, and that's, you know, animal-assisted therapy, on children suffering from autism spectrum disorders. Together, these studies measured 30 different outcome variables. The results were impressive. All studies found that AAT was effective. Indeed, with children with autism who underwent AAT showed statistically significant improvements in 27 of the 30 outcomes. So they're finding some really great stuff. There's two major problems, though, that come up, which is the first, that most of the clinical trials they're so methodologically flawed that their conclusions cannot be trusted. So a lot of therapists are still struggling with actually trusting the science behind this. So there's lots of interesting stuff written on this. You know, there's so much I don't really want to get into a ton.
Yeah.
Because it gets kind of dry. But it's really quite fascinating when you stop and you look at different stuff. Because I read another article that was talking about how therapists are struggling with even the I can't think of what the word is, the conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. When it comes to even writing the letter saying that someone needs an animal. And they're saying that it kind of conflicts with, the conflict is enabling. Wow. Are they actually enabling the patient, or are they, because they're the therapist, not the animal is the therapist?
Yeah, that's, okay, I see.
Yeah, so.
I mean, really, though, you could make that same argument for any doctor that prescribes weed, or, you know, because then, you know, because there's a lot of people who have medical cards that don't need medical cards, you know.
Right.
You know, but really, for some other stuff, that it's interesting though, because therapists will tell you to go try this because it may help you. Go try this because it may help. You know what I mean? It's like, it seems weird that there would be resistance toward something that could help somebody.
Well, I don't think it's a resistance of them that could have help, but you give them kind of a free pass to always have their animal with them at all times.
Oh, okay. It's like giving them a crutch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get it. Okay.
So it's not the fact that they shouldn't have animals, a service animal, or even someone, a support system. Because as we've talked about, furry support systems are amazing. And I highly recommend, if you are in a position to be able to take care of a furry support system, that go get one. They're awesome. Four-legged, two-legged, it really doesn't matter. Most of the time, furry, but lizards and scales are good too. But anywho, I digress. But it's really fascinating when you stop and you think about even the dilemma that the psychiatrists have to go through, and they have to determine, because this is not a proven science.
Yeah.
There is no proof that animals can help to heal you.
Yeah.
There's proof that medicine can help heal you, or at least get rid of, symptoms and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's measurable. It's not measurable, the effect that animals can have on you, other than certain little things, like your blood pressure has a tendency to go down. But is that because of the animal, or is that because you're happy and you're enjoying your time? So, it's a side effect of maybe being around the animal, but is the animal causing the heart rate to go down? Probably not. So it gets really kind of sticky, like a sticky wicket in there.
Yeah.
But
they just have to find a way to measure whether it works or not. Because realistically, you can make the same argument about therapy.
Yes.
Like what measurement that therapy works. Because therapy is generally not a cure. It's a tool for along the way kind of a thing, Like, therapy doesn't cure depression generally. It doesn't cure bipolar. It doesn't, like that kind of stuff. So it's like, well, how do you prove that it works? Which, don't get me wrong, that's why for years and years people are like, psychiatrists are quacks, or not psychiatrists, I'm sorry, psychologists. I mean, there's some psychiatrists that do therapy too, but it's, I know there was that, for the longest time, that was the, stigma with it is, that they just want you to keep coming back because they, make a bunch of money off of you. And, so it's like, at some point though, therapy became an acceptable treatment. So it's like, with this, it's new-ish. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but more for like mental health and stuff, I think it's newer, where more people are like, hey, you know what? My anxiety is a lot less because I have a dog, by me or whatever. So yeah, it's a really interesting, spot. I could see where they would be kind of torn on it.
It is. It's very interesting, and and I struggle with it a little bit myself, because it does seem it's very trendy to have your pet with you at all times nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially in certain parts of the country, there's, in Denver, for example, 90% of the places that have outdoor seating areas are dog friendly.
Yeah.
So they won't let them inside the buildings, but outside you can sit on the walkway, and they'll bring a dish of water for your dog or whatever. Yeah. And so, I mean, they're very dog friendly there. I know California is also very animal friendly in a lot of places. So it is becoming very well accepted. Mm-hmm. And I struggle with the whole, emotional dogs, the emotional pets.
Yeah.
The service animals, I think, are more readily acceptable, and I would have less issue with a service animal than an assistance animal.
Yeah, I get you with that, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't, someone just walking around with an animal with them,
That's what I was. Well, that's why I was equating it to like a medicinal weed card, because there's plenty of people out there that I've talked with and stuff that are like, I just like they're just kind of doing it so that it keeps them out of trouble with their habit basically. So it's but there are plenty of people who do get good benefits from it. I'm not but there's always going to be people exploiting. Is more of what I'm getting at. And like this, not everybody that does that, like on flights and different stuff. It's like, not everybody doing that is, and it's, I've heard people admit to it, so it's, yeah, I don't know.
So it's just, be a good person.
Yeah.
Don't exploit the rules, when they're loosey-goosey like they are right now.
Yeah.
Try not to exploit them. Try to use them as they are intended or to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
But absolutely, use your furry assistants, people.
Yeah.
The animals change my life. And they make my life better. And I will not be in a world without my furry friends. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I understand, because I, the same way, essentially, I like to have a cat, and it's tough when, because like you're saying, it's like, it is nice that it does make me feel better at times, because I've had days where I've just not cared about anything or whatever, and I'll come out of my bedroom and the cat perks up because I came out of the bedroom and she'll talk to me, and then I go over and I pet her, and it, it brings me a brief moment of joy, essentially, so, it's hard to argue against it, but
exactly.
But that's at home too. I'm not, I'm not looking for any certification.
Right.
Yeah.
As my husband calls it, pure puppy joy.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about that pure innocence of animals in their unconditional, hey, you feed me, I love you. It's pretty basic, but it's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's very meaningful. Mm-hmm. And anyone who discounts that or takes advantage of that, you will find your own special hell.
Yeah.
You hear all the stories about people who take advantage of that trust and take advantage of that pure innocence, and we won't go there, but
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, was it something in my rankles or whatever? the saying, I can't think of what the saying is, but makes my hair stand on end.
Yeah,
how about that? We'll go with that.
Yep.
So with that, I think I'm sorry that it wasn't as well-rounded of a conversation, but it was information that I wanted to impart. Mm-hmm. And want to kind of, get people thinking a little bit on the topic.
Yeah.
But if you have an opinion on it, or want to share your thoughts, your side of things, please reach out and let us know. You can always reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life, and that's Jen with a G. You can also shoot us an email at thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com. You could also shoot it over to our website at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. And you can see Henno on Facebook at Henno Heiter.
Yep.
Or on Twitter at Ida Henno. Mm-hmm. You can reach out to him. Give him your support. Tell him how awesome he is for standing up and taking part of the judicial system. Or governmental system, I should say. Let me clarify.
Yeah. I was like, he's not in the judicial system. Yeah.
Not judicial, governmental.
Governmental.
So, yeah. I think that's right. Government?
Yeah, it's city council.
City council. Yeah. Well, government. City government. So, anyways, and you, Brian, how can they reach out to you?
You can also reach the show on Twitter at the Crazy Life Pod, where I post links to the new episodes each week. Excuse me. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find my other podcast, Salty Language, at salty_language on Twitter, or at saltylanguage.com. And that show is not safe for work. So don't listen to it, at work, or probably not with kids in the car. You can check out my blog where I posted a new post last week, and I plan on doing another one probably tomorrow. I don't know. Sometime in the next couple of days, I'm going to try to do another one. You can find that at stunami.wordpress.com. Excuse me. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast. We're a part of the Tangent-Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. If you use iTunes, please rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us show up in searches higher, so people may listen. And if you use Stitcher or other podcast apps, please use the like and share buttons, because for the same reason, it'll promote us a little bit. And or if you please retweet our posts so others may see them, and if they're interested, or share with people that you think may be interested. Really helps us out. On the Facebook page, there's also a bunch of links for if you need help finding a therapist or various other things. There's some really good links over there. If you're in a crisis, there's some numbers there for the suicide prevention hotlines, and for I can't think what the other one's called. There's another one that's over there that you can text instead if you want to. And then as normal, I'll tell you, we're not doctors, therapists, or trained professionals. We're just two people sharing our opinions and experience on a topic. If you feel like you need help, please seek it out. I can't push that enough. Where I was a couple years ago to where I am now it's a huge journey, even though it only feels like 5 steps. There's a lot of things I'm doing now and stuff that I wouldn't have done a few years ago. And if I hadn't reached out, gone to therapy, gotten out of medicine, who knows where I'd be, So reach out, go get help. Talk to the doctor. Like I've said before, just go get the estimate. Go in, talk to them, see what they say. You can always refuse to do whatever they say. That is your right, but at least go find out. Please don't self-diagnose. And also, please don't think that this show is a replacement for any sort of therapy. And then, not lastly, but almost lastly, excuse me. If you're feeling as though you may harm yourself or others, please let someone know. Please don't be alone, and please don't act on those thoughts. Call, someone in your support system. Call 911. Go to a hospital. Just first of all, try not to be alone, and second of all, again, reach out, because there's tons of people out there willing to help you. That again, that's what they've dedicated their lives to, is helping people that are struggling with this. So, help them be of service and, help you through a crisis. And then lastly, as I say every week, reach out to somebody this week. Tell them you love them. With these hurricanes that have just hit, tons of people you see, like, oh, thank God you're alive and nothing happened, or whatever, reach out to people, see if they need anything, whether it's an emotional thing or a physical thing, just to say hi. Tell them you'll love them, because you just never know when you won't get that chance again. Anything like that. But it may make their day better, or it may save their life. You just never know. So.
Exactly.
Boom.
We're all superheroes. Use your powers wisely. Woo. And with that note, Otis agrees.
Very strongly, too.
Yes, he very strongly agrees. All right. With that, folks, have a great week. Keep breathing and wiggle your toes.